Wow, I'm late to the party here. Yep, it's been 5 months since Smash for 3DS came out, and I'm finally making a video about my favorite Smash characters. Now here, let me explain. I wanted to wait till the Wii U version came out, and I got it for Christmas. The reason I wanted to wait for the Wii U version is because 3DS version, while good, it also kind of felt like Diet Smash. But whatever. This game has been hyped up for a super long time, and of course, I enjoyed it. So, with all that out of the way, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite characters from this game. Now, as always, it's my opinion, no need to make a big fuss about it, but here, it's especially not to make a big fuss about it, because these are just my favorite characters to play as in the game. So, with all that said, let's begin. Bowser Jr. is a really unique character when it comes to this game. Basically, with his clown car, he has a variety of different, things that he sends out to attack people. Whether it be a car, a cannon, a bomb, or whatever. His arsenal is pretty varied. However, the reason he's so low on the list is mainly because I don't find a whole lot of his moves I tend to use a whole lot. I sometimes play as him just for the novelty of all the crazy stuff that comes out of his clown car, which in itself is pretty good. And he is a decent fighter, I just don't feel myself really wanting to play as him all that often. In other words, I don't think he's that good, but he does have some pretty creative things coming out of his clown car. If you want a heavy hitter in the Smash Bros. Roster, I recommend going with Bowser. Not only is he, well, heavy and very unlikely to be knocked off the stage, which makes him especially good for stages that there are no pits on, but also he has his ground pound attack, which can send him right back down to the ground, and he even has halfway decent recovery. And that body slam is also really nice. Now, a lot of people have said that Bowser is not a very good character to play as because he's slow, but his slowness for me isn't really a problem, and he's really fun to play as. Little Mac is probably the character in the game who is most accurate towards, well, fighting style towards the game that they come from. Basically, this guy is a beast on the ground. He is one of the fastest characters in the game, right up there with Sonic and Captain Falcon, and can dish out combos with punches super fast, but here's the problem with this guy. He cannot attack in the air to save his life. And his recovery is terrible. Trust me, he can be fun to play as, but it is very situational as to when you want to use him. Mr. Game & Watch for me is a lot like what I said about Bowser Jr., except I actually enjoy playing as him. Really, I don't know how his speed is, but just he's very entertaining with all the different weapons he pulls out, or just how he moves like an 8-bit Game & Watch character. But his moveset is actually pretty good too. I mean, his judge attack is pretty interesting, even though it is luck-based. Not to mention his firefighter is a pretty good recovery. And believe me, I wish I could get good at using his oil panic. Overall, Mr. Game & Watch is just really fun to play as. Wario. Honestly, just like Bowser in the last game and a couple other characters, in Brawl, Wario was one of my mains, and he still is today. Basically, he's a lot of fun to play as, whether it be his Wario bike, which actually is kind of the main reason, but his also corkscrew attack is also very useful, and occasionally I also dabble in the Wario waft. For some reason, I don't know why, but I just don't have that much to say about this one. When the huge leak about this came out, there was one character who that made me question the legitimacy of it, and that was Duck Hunt. And then when I found out he was real, I was thinking, what, Nintendo put him in the game? Don't they realize how many people hate the Duck Hunt dog? But then I actually played as him, and it was really fun. Basically, he revolves a lot around 8-bit mechanics, and most importantly, shots that are coming from off-screen, theoretically from the player, just by pressing B when he's doing one of his attacks. His regular B, the exploding can, is incredibly useful. And while I don't really use the cowboys that much, they could be fun to use. Not to mention that clay disc is pretty good, and his recovery is also really good. But another thing I really like about it is that he has my favorite final smash in the whole game. Overall, Duck Hunt was really fun to play as, and I seriously underestimated him. Pac-Man. What is there to say about Pac-Man? I'm pretty sure when I got Smash Bros. For 3DS, the first character I played as was, in fact, Pac-Man. Or was it Zero Suit Samus? I can't remember. But anyway, Pac-Man was probably the coolest addition to this game right next to Mega Man, who actually turned out not to be that good of a character. But Pac-Man was pretty fun to use, having a variety of different attacks that were all pretty unique in their own right. Whether it be the power pellets that let you guide your way across, the fruit, or mystery fruit, which essentially is just glorified charge attack, or heck, his up B, which was also pretty weird, but he's got a lot of unique moves, which is something pretty interesting. His final smash is pretty cool as well. Overall, he's very similar to Duck Hunt in that regard, but I put Pac-Man higher just because of the fact that he's a bit more practical. While Duck Hunt, let's just say you don't want to take him into any one-on-ones anytime soon. I loved playing as Zero Suit Samus in Brawl, but it was kind of disappointing because of the fact that when you wanted to play as her, you always had to play as Samus, hope to God you got a Smash Ball, and then play as her, which was kind of frustrating. But I was psyched in Smash WiiU when it was announced that you would actually be playing as her separate from Samus, and really it's a lot of fun. She is a very agile character with a variety of different attacks, but probably the best one is her jump kicks, or her up B. In a sense, you could just abuse this to get through any classic mode battles. Trust me, it's very helpful. Aside from that though, she still is pretty fun to play as, just not as fun as the top two. I'm gonna be upfront here, guys. Kirby was my best character of Brawl, and as you can see, he's pretty close to that spot in Smash WiiU. Now, what do I like about Kirby? Well, let's start with his recovery. It is the best in the game. He gets so many extra jumps, and it gets super easy to come back from pretty much any shot except one that launched you so far off the screen that there was no possible recovery because you're going super fast. But other than that, you can get back from pretty much anything. His hammer is also pretty heavy hitting, and his grabs are pretty good, and his copy ability lets you copy enemies' abilities, giving you more variety. But by far the best part about Kirby is the stone move. Pretty much whenever I play as him, this is my strategy. Fly up into the air and then rain death from the skies. This is a strategy that I've used in both games, and it pays off amazingly in both. So, who's my number one? Well, first let me say a quote by the great Dwight Schrute from The Office. It is never the person you least suspect, nor is it ever the person that you most suspect. Rather, it is always the person that you medium suspect. And for me, that was Villager. Villager is a freaking awesome character in the game. Where do I start? How about with his pocket attack? Granted, I'm not very good with it, but anyone who can get good with it can already turn Villager into a lethal weapon. That's not all of the tricks he has up his sleeve. First off, his tree attack, while being very creative, is also a very good way of dispatching of enemies. Granted, if you can get them to ignore you long enough to plant and chop down the tree, it can be very powerful. Another thing that a lot of people tend to underestimate about Villager is his side smash attack, where he drops a shot put. Think about it this way, if someone's directly under that, you can hit him from pretty much any height, and it does the same amount of damage. The only ranged smash attack that I know of. I also love using his Lloyd Rocket attack. That combined with his running A make him almost unstoppable in any one-on-one sudden death matches. I know Rabbid Luigi already went over this in his list, but Smash tier lists are a load of crap. If you want any evidence of that, look no further than here. Aside from Zero Suit Samus, not one character from this list even cracks the top 15. Yet, guess who gets number 1? Rosalina, the worst character in the game, somehow managed to beat every single character on this list. So that was my list of my favorite Smash Bros. Characters. Let me know in the comments what your favorites are. And if you actually do like to play as Rosalina, don't take what I said too personally. So with all that said, I'm Defoffilizer, and tier lists suck.